The world of AI software development is moving so fast right now. And to really get a feel for just how fast, we're going to zoom in on one single, absolutely chaotic week back in August. It was a week that, honestly, perfectly captures both the incredible promise and the very real dangers of this new era.
So, picture this. It all kicks off on August 13th. The news drops that Anthropic's new model, Claude Sonnet 4, can now handle a 1 million token context window. We're going to dig into what that actually means in a second, but for now, just know, it's an absolute game changer.
And then, on the very same day, the CEO of GitHub drops this bombshell of an ultimatum on the entire developer community. He says, accept AI or leave this industry. No sugarcoating it at all. The battle lines are officially being drawn.
But just as that hype train is leaving the station, a completely different story starts to emerge. A new article starts making the rounds, and it's warning everyone that this new way of working is creating a huge hidden risk, a state it calls bus factor zero, a project where not a single human being actually understands how it works anymore. Yikes!
And to top it all off, the week ends with even more gigantic news. A brand new coding model called Sonic just appears out of nowhere, and Meta announces this massive strategic partnership with Midjourney. The scale of this whole revolution is just staggering. So, let's break down what on earth is going on here. First up, let's talk about the new frontier of AI, because what we're witnessing right now is a full-blown arms race for raw computational power. And the numbers, well, they're starting to get kind of ridiculous.
What's really mind-blowing here is the sheer size of these context windows. The amount of information the AI can hold in its memory at once. I mean, you see GPT-5 hitting 196,000 tokens, Grok's new coder is at 256,000, and then Claude Sonnet 4 just comes along and completely leaves them in the dust.
1 million tokens. Let me try to put that into perspective for you. That's like being able to feed an AI an entire massive code base. We're talking hundreds of thousands of lines of code and just asking it to understand the whole thing all at once. It can see the big picture of enormous projects in a way that was literally impossible just a few months ago.
And look, this isn't just about who has the biggest number. This is a full-on ecosystem race. For instance, Claude introduced this super smart Opus plan mode, which uses its most powerful model to do the thinking and its faster model to do the work. Meanwhile, Google's Gemini is burrowing itself deeper and deeper into VS Code, the place where developers live. And Meta partnering with Midjourney? That just shows this is all about combining different AI strengths to create totally new things.
Okay, so having all this insane power is one thing, but what do you actually do with it? So now let's look at the developer's AI toolbox and how these specialized tools are turning all that abstract power into something you can use every single day.
So you've got tools like Coder. It calls itself a next-generation agentic coding platform, which, is a pretty fancy way of saying it does more than just finish the line of code you're writing. It's actually trying to understand your entire project, all its weird quirks and patterns, to give you code that really fits, not just code that technically works.
Then you have these really clever little tools like a code prep GUI. This thing solves a very real problem. Feeding 1 million tokens to an AI costs a lot of money. This tool is smart. It scans your project, strips out all the junk and noise, and creates this lean little bundle of code to send to the AI. It saves you money, and honestly, you get better results.
And what's really cool is that this stuff isn't just for the super technical coders anymore. Tools like first5.dev are automating the whole beginning of a product's life. You could be a founder with just an idea. You type one sentence, the AI asks you a couple of smart questions, and boom, out pops your product requirement stock and your to-do lists. Think about that, from a random idea to a real plan in minutes.
Pretty incredible, right? The speed, the power, it feels like a superpower. But, and you knew there was a but coming, this is where the story takes a sharp turn. What's the hidden price we pay from moving this fast?
And that brings us to the real heart of the issue here. A new term has started floating around that perfectly describes the dark side of this whole productivity boom: vibe coding.
So what is vibe coding? Well, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's when a developer gets an AI to generate a chunk of code, they look at it, and the vibe feels right. It seems to work. But the developer doesn't actually get the deep logic of how it works or why it works. They're just coding based on a feeling from the machine, not from their own deep understanding.
And this habit leads to a pretty terrifying concept: bus factor zero. You know the classic bus factor question, right? How many people on your team need to get hit by a bus for the project to die? Well, bus factor 0 is when the AI is the only one left who truly gets the whole system. There's not a single human who has the complete picture anymore. The institutional knowledge is just gone.
And so you see the paradox, right? On one hand, the promise is this unbelievable speed and effortless creation. But the peril, the danger, is that you get this total black hole of project knowledge. And that leads to brittle code, bugs nobody can fix, and some really serious security risks, because nobody knows where the skeletons are buried.
So, is it time to panic? Is this the end of development as we know it? No, not at all. This isn't about throwing away the tools. It's about fundamentally changing the role of the developer. This is about the new blueprint for what it means to be a builder in the age of AI.
Let's go back to that quote from the GitHub CEO. It sounds pretty harsh, I know, but it frames the new reality perfectly. The industry is not going backwards. So the choice isn't if we use AI, but how we use it. Trying to fight this change is just a losing battle. The only path forward is adaptation.
And that adaptation means a massive tectonic shift in what a developer actually does all day. You know, it used to be that maybe 80% of the job was the physical act of typing out code. Now, as the AI starts writing 90% of the code, the developer's real value shifts almost entirely to high-level thinking, to designing the systems and validating what the AI produces.
This new reality requires a totally new skill set. You're not just a coder anymore. You're a system designer and an architect. You're an AI agent orchestrator, telling different AIs how to work together. And maybe most importantly, you're a critical result validator, using your human intuition to catch the subtle mistakes the AI will inevitably make. And you have to be the guardian of core knowledge, making sure that we still have documentation that humans can actually read and understand. And that's the tightrope we're all walking now. On one side, you have the clear mandate, accept AI or leave. But on the other, you have this stark warning that if we don't hold on to that core human knowledge, we're putting everything we build at serious risk. The future is about finding a way to balance those two truths.
So after a whirlwind week like that, what's the big takeaway? It's actually pretty clear. This isn't about humans versus machines. It's about our skills evolving. The goal isn't just to use AI to write code faster. It's to become the master of this incredibly powerful new tool, and to wield it with wisdom and with critical human oversight.
Which leaves all of us with one final, really important question to think about. If the AI writes the code, what is it that you write? The specs, the tests, the documentation, the grand vision? That's the question every single developer has to answer for themselves now.